Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Yeah, we're a little bit late on our recap this week because we had the Halloween fun week where we had 8 reviews and demos in a row. Check them out if you happen to have missed them. We had some very cool and scary guitars. But if you were lucky enough to watch the launch this week, the Halloween launching, honestly, you'd probably be pretty disappointed. We had a little bit of an error where only one new blue one was up for a couple of minutes. And then all these other ones were here, but honestly, nothing too spooky except for one. And we're going to start things off here with that one. Here is a Les Paul classic in another bee-influenced finish, Evil Wasp. Now for a classic, that's a pretty big premium. But let's see, what kind of features do we got here? We've got some yellow, we've got some black, we've got some red lines, maybe trying to be like the abdomen of the wasp. But who knows of what species exactly they were going for here. And this all appears to be a satin finish. They have black and gold mixture going on with our hardware. Interesting pickup covers that have these slug and adjustable coils exposed. You don't see that too often. Then your red pickup rings. There is a buckethead style kill switch on this thing with red plastics everywhere else. All right, so this design, maybe not for me, but it's got a kill switch, so of course I had to buy it, right? Nah, just kidding, I let this one go. I was hoping they would have did something a little bit more fancy on the headstock, other than have a chip in the finish. It's either that or that's just something that could be washed off, I'm not sure. But they did play around with our tuners a little bit. You got the continuation of the mixture of the black and gold, so it works with the whole theme. And then check this stinger out. It's got the same design as the front. You know, stinger, makes sense. And they just left the rest of the guitar be black. Next up here, we have a new series to talk about that they're calling 70s Flying Vs. However, they're not. I noticed this last week. After filming the episode, I was like, that 70s V that I'm talking about is not actually a 70s V. This is one of the older style Vs because the modern day production 70s V has a completely different neck construction, the way that it joins to the body. So in my opinion, that's something that needs to be fixed because these were actually cheaper models when they first came out. I mean, nowadays you have to pay like what, $2,200 for the brand new? Whereas these ones, I think they were around like $1,400. I mean, this is from 2013. But anyways, we've got this interesting finish that got P94 pickups with the electric blue pickup rings with a lighter aqua blue speed knob. And then it looks like this finish would really come to life in person when you get it out in the light. And it complements well with the blacked out hardware and pickguard. However, the truss rod cover on this one's definitely eye-catching with a rainbow logo, and it is a complete refinish for the Spruce Haze. However, the next one within the set is called Gilded Emerald. So obviously, you get a little bit of an emerald color here, except for it's got some golden hues to it. All the same stuff going on here, just with a new color. But the back almost has that Fender Texas T finish to it, just slightly lighter in color. And honestly, this thing's really beat up for just getting a new finish. Then rounding out the batch is Violet Thunder. Now this thing's looking pretty sweet. It also has the rainbow logo as the other ones did, but where this one falls flat for me is the face. Like they must not have had any purple pickup rings because they just use bright red. It doesn't quite fit the same theme as what we were doing with all these others. All in all, a pretty cool set. Continuing on, we have a 1954 standard reissue. 1954 reissue means P90s and a rat tail. What we have here, my friends, is a 1958-59/60 reissue spec thing going on. All right, we're gonna have to read the description here. So it's got gold cherry sunburst finish. So what that means to me is this started life as a gold top and they just put a red border around it to make this new color. Then they're saying they added some custom buckers in it. They have not disclosed if they routed it though and changed the bridge. Like, was this just a weird custom order? But you'll notice no Les Paul model silkscreen and the historically correct lower Gibson logo. Yeah, it looks strange, but that's how it's supposed to be for that particular year's reissue. So I mean, is that the whole reason why they called it a 54? But take a look at the top again. And now look at the back. I love this. It looks like an old 70s Les Paul Deluxe. So they've just mixed like gold burst with cherry sunburst. And I 100% approve. In a limited edition kind of way. It was offered up at $5,200 and it's still available if you want it. This classic is not as expensive as the Wasp, only at a mere $2,300. But it's just got a red finish. P94 in the neck, all blacked out. It's got a cool look. But all in all, nothing too special. And then we have a trans-faded teal Les Paul tribute. The first one that got uploaded this week. It's got some interesting wood grain. I'll give it that, and it's a cool color, but you almost need like a brown wooden binding around this to really encapsulate the look of this awesome fretboard. I love the streakiness. Sometimes you get a cool streaked one, other times it's not as nice. It's just luck of the draw. But you have a new overly saturated Gibson logo. And then look at the back, it matches the logo. So not only was it a top refin, but they ambered over the backside as well. So I think that was a win. And you got a hard shell case. So normally I'm pretty quick to say the tributes in the mod collection are overpriced, but this one wasn't too bad. But one of my favorite names this week is Cucumbersome Green. It's an SG tribute at $18.99, which I think you'd have to really love this finish to want to buy it for that price. But black and green, all the best hues. It's looking pretty good. It honestly reminds me of the old SG Robot series. They had a green finish, kind of looking like this. It didn't have the burst on the edges, but easy enough to modify. And ooh, they did it on the back, those scoundrels. And sweet, historic bumblebee caps in a tribute. Looks like you've got the old push-pull pots here too. Looks like there's a little bit more that meets the eye to that one, if you were willing to pay the premium. Take a look at the standard 60s. Wow. I missed this one on upload day. It's very strange. This reminds me of 2016, 2018-ish Gibson, so are we sure this is even a 60 standard? But you've got your copper color pickup rings, golden covers on top of that with your ambered out knobs, black hardware. But then you get to the logo and it's green for some reason, and then you get the tortoiseshell truss rod cover. And if that's not enough, a completely green back. And okay, so they just must have opted to do a perimeter burst because that is a newer 2022 model. So with a name like Tiger Lily Fade, I think they were trying to symbolize the back as the leaves and the top as our flowers. Then they offered up an SG base in natural satin. This side has some pretty interesting wood grain, otherwise kind of an unremarkable example. Nothing really changed on the back either. And then we have Les Paul Special Tribute Flamin' Red. That's about a 2x premium to have flames painted on it. Definitely not my favorite, but all right, okay. They redeemed themselves a little bit here. They painted over the back plate and did the design on the back. And we've got a flamed stinger. That's a little silly. And they gave it a case. All right, that one's charming. And now they're taking us to a grove. This one reminds me of the Sunflower Samurai from a couple of weeks back. It's got an interesting Joe Perry-esque finish to it, but is natural on the back. Monarch Metallic. Can't really tell the metallic nature in these stock photos, but I mean, if it does have that, that'd be interesting. A see-through metallic finish. Decent wood grain and a completely dark back. Good old classic rye barrel. It's got a rustic look to it. However, the back looks better than the front. I like the centralized burst only on the neck and everything else is just this kind of reddish brown color. I wish they would have incorporated a bit more onto here, but maybe I'm missing a reference. Then there was a 50 standard in here, which normally the mod collection is known for, doing fun things, but it looks like almost nothing has changed on this, except for they added a satin clear coat over top of the gloss one. At least that's what it reads as. However, it looks to me like the whole thing's just been satin. And here's another 60 standard that they just swapped plastics to make it look infinitely more different. And hey, pretty cool back. That takes care of the mod collection. Now let's check out the demo shop. We had one of them watermelon red 335 reissues, but this time they blacked it out to really make that finish pop. I thought these things were pretty cool before, but this modification really reminds me of the old Showcase Edition series, when Gibson was like, hey, let's put EMG pickups and things. But there was a red Les Paul custom that you can check out in this episode that has a very similar vibe as this piece. That headstock just pops so much more. Although I think ultimately I would still prefer the regular specs on this one. Interesting that they also replaced the nut. A lot of effort went into that one. There was a 74 white Les Paul custom reissue. I don't think these are actually on Gibson's website. I think they're on special order basis only. You get the old style logo, you get a volute, and I think you get like the Super 74 pickups, and that's what makes a 74 reissue. I think it's great it exists. I mean, we got the 68 and the 57 reissue, among many others, so why not have a Norland era one? But check this out, Flying V Custom. We see these things all the time, but this time, I thought they'd just chromed it all out, but no, they left our pickup covers gold, and then we've got a mixture of gold and chrome for the rest. I'm surprised they didn't do the swapperoonies on the tuners. And then instead of gold and chrome, this time on an Explorer Custom, they mixed black with chrome. That's got a sweet look to it too. Ooh, especially the full body shot. Nice. Kind of reminds me of a Kaler equipped Gibson because this just starts to disappear in the darkness. Then they also had the 61 335 reissue. But in the sold category, we had a Tribute for $1,100. Looks like they put a Firebird pickup in the bridge to make it a little bit different. There was a Custom Shop 60 Les Paul Special, no pickguard, and a different tenon cover to say the least. Not my favorite look, but it looks like a fun party hat or something, I guess. There was also a more traditional looking one done up in TV yellow. And hey, here's a traditional 54 Les Paul, wrap tail and P90s. You don't see these things too often. But this thing is beautiful. It's plain, but it's got a little bit of figuring and some wood grain lines, and the gold hardware mixes perfectly with our red pickguard. Might not be as fancy as the Noel Gallagher, but it pulls off a very cool vibe. And lastly, we need to talk about the European side of things. I mean, they had a 335 figured that had an okay top and back to it. They had some more of these Junior Tribute DCs. This one had the most interesting wood grain as far as the mahogany body goes. Not too much in the neck department. But then check this out, a Gibson J35? Antique natural, I mean, this thing looks nearly vintage. And then you get to the headstock and you start to question, is it vintage? So I think Gibson just recently came out with a faded series of this guitar. And I said, hey, that looks brand new. As far as the models that were listed on Gibson's website, it appeared to have been. But it looks like it might have been a model once before because this serial number dates it to 2013. So I'm not really sure if that was a deal or not. Seems pretty fairly priced for a 30s styled instrument. And then lastly, we had 2 reissues. So they called this one Factory Burst. That doesn't look like Factory Burst to me. This is Factory Burst. It's my favorite reissue color. It just looks so fantastic. Now, I'm also spoiled because I own that really special damn prototype that you're seeing here. So this one reminds me more like a Brock Burst or something a little bit darker. But maybe it's just our pickup covers are missing and that's what's throwing us off. It's got some interesting wood grain back here. Then over here, we've got Deep Cherry Sunburst. Just a very nice reissue. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, I think you would really like to watch me document one of these mod collection pieces. Check out the Ghost Les Paul. There's so many stingers on this thing, and a little bit of a surprise with the electronics.